Good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom. Thank you everyone who is going to be jumping on and watching. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from and whatever you're doing. We're just on Women of Light movement on Facebook. And I'm talking today to this beautiful Janice Wood, we're running a little bit late because we had a nice big chat before we got on. And we're talking about the power of numbers today, which is a really interesting topic to me because I don't know a lot about it, but I know that I get a lot of triple numbers and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Janice, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into numerology.
Okay, welcome everyone, and thanks for having me, Elizabeth. My journey started many years ago, and it was in relation to probably sort of people that just crossed my path that just suggested that I needed to look down that avenue because of the person that I was. I have a very strong knowing of stuff, even without the numbers. So the numbers, once I got introduced to them, was an extra tool that I could use to assist people to be a better version of themselves. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing the numbers for probably about, I reckon it's actually nearly 10 years. I say 8 years in my profile, but I think it's about 10 years now. I basically think the numbers don't lie, basically, pretty much, 99%. The only time where I find they are maybe a little bit out might be in the case where someone's had a very traumatic childhood, or, might have had a major accident that was just totally out of their control, like something happening, which does happen. But then I can still see within the numbers why sometimes, not necessarily why that accident might have happened to them, but why they have actually come through the other side, because their numbers has actually held them with good strength. Many people I've studied in that situation where I've seen someone that's been really hurt and I've gone, wow, that person is just amazing. And I look at their numbers and it kind of really gives me insight as to why they were able to get through that. So
are you talking about how, I know that when you add up all your birth date numbers, like for example, I'm a 7, when you, 7 comes up, I'm the 7th of the night, 71. And so when that all works out, it's a 7. So I've got a lot of 7s in my...
you have a lot of 7s. So traditionally with that, when people have a lot of 7s in their numbers, that often suggests to me that they have a lot of loss and a lot of sadness, a lot of stuff going on around them. It doesn't necessarily mean to them, but it can be around them from very early on.
That works. Lost my dad when I was 15. And
there's
probably been a lot of loss in my life.
Probably if I mapped that back to the year it was, there'd be something else I'd be able to pick up as well. So that's basically, so it's, like I said, it's pretty, I was out the other night, and this is an example of what happens with the numbers with me. I can be out and I can listen to someone telling a story, and then he was talking about where he lived, and he was asking us where we lived, and my girlfriend, this girlfriend and him ended up living in the same building. And then I was listening and he's like, no way. And I was just listening and I thought, and I went, and I go, you live in unit 11. And he just was like, fuck, who, what, how do you know that?
Stalking me.
How do you know that? And it was just like, and then I said to him, look, I have to ask you your birthday now, because there's this connection that I've had with you. There'll be a stronger connection. And his birthday was the same day as my daughter.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
So that's pretty much what happens. But then someone else can see that and they go, oh, so what's my birthday, or what's happening with me? And I go, I'm really sorry, I didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, it's not like I can pluck it out of the sky, right?
Yeah,
you can really... sort of, but at the same time, it's not like exact, like that. you have those moments, right? You
Yeah,
know,
very much. Like I can be somewhere sitting at a table and I've got like an audience that, oh, she does numbers, so people will be asking me questions. And they go, give us something, like tell us something. And I'm like, okay. I go, oh, that guy over there standing at the bar, I have a strong sense that his birthday is the 11th or the 29th. I don't know what month. And so then they yell out to him, like, where's your birthday? You know. I mean, everyone, like people knew we were in an environment where people knew each other. It wasn't like we were in a pub. Like, but,
yeah.
And then he yelled out his birthday. And of course, like 4 people get up and leave the table and 2 stay really intensely going, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, how do you do? I said, look, I can't tell you how. So that's not in relation to the actual numbers. That's more an energy vibration. Yeah. And also because I know a lot about the numbers and I'm an 11 myself. So hence why that, I don't know, she didn't use the picture. I had a picture of a little 11 in front of my, which is what I use a lot, 11. So the 11s in particular are quite, they have quite a high vibration. So they can be very, very high, and then they can be very, very low as well. And they're very, if you think of 11, you add 1 and 1 together, it's 2. It's a very feminine energy, very intuitive, very want to help. 2 is like on your knees, like the woman on the knees.
Yeah.
So I talk about, with the numbers, I talk about numerology, but then I also talk about other things that I've just, I don't know, I've just come up with.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's numerology. It's just stuff that I've come up with. And also I've read a lot, I've studied a lot. Not as in I've gone to a numerology school or something, but I've gone to libraries. I've studied people who were quite influential. I've studied people who were bad. I've studied people across the board.
Yeah.
Like not just one more than the other.
Yeah. And, you know, from my own understanding of the way I work, you know, numbers is like the whole universe, consciousness is a mathematical intelligence, right? There's a pattern to what's going on here. So, you know, that's why numerology, astrology, all of those things are just snippets, you know, like Mayan calendar. I get right into the Mayan calendar sometimes, you know, like. So can I get your thoughts on triple numbers, you know, like getting triple numbers? Like, for example, I'm going through a run of 444 at the moment for some reason.
Okay.
I'm constantly seeing 444.
So if you see 4 just in like one realm, like 4, if you think of 4, it is very structural.
Yeah.
Like 4 legs on a table. So processes, stability, that's very important. So someone whose life partner adds up to a 4, they're generally very good to have working for you in your business because they will follow procedures to the, you know, letter.
Yeah.
The negative aspect of that is they can follow it so, you know, just to
pedantic.
the T. Yeah, that, you know, they might be working with someone else who can see that we can do step number 2 or we can miss step number 2 because we need to get it done quicker. So 4s are good to have in a workplace if you've got, you know, plenty of time to, you know, work out your procedures and stuff. But if you need to act quick, sometimes they're not.
They're not very methodical.
Very methodical. So if you're seeing lots of 4s, to me, that would suggest that you need to look at your processes. You need to look at how you're working. You know, are you overdoing things or are you underdoing things as well? That's also the other thing. It could be underdoing.
Well, I've just been on a road trip to Queensland for 6 weeks. And when I first started doing it, it was just going to be a holiday, and then it turned into a work thing. And so it became more of a work thing than it became a holiday. And so I've come home to, you know, like my diary's full, right? Like, so.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So in a way, it's most probably saying, you know, like, take, you know, step back a bit, you know, like, because up until next week, I'm like booked out, you know, basically. So, yeah, so now I understand why the triple fours, I'd say. So
yeah, and it's interesting because I don't do tarot cards, but when you look at the tarot, I've got a few friends that do tarot cards, and we have a bit of a laugh with them and stuff, and they're pretty, like, she's very accurate when she does stuff. But if you actually look at the book for the tarot cards, it talks about like the Four of Cups, and some of those things have meanings across the board that relate to the numbers as well. And I actually find I've got one of the books, and I don't do tarot cards for people, but I like looking at the information because it's actually quite relevant to stuff that I do. And because sometimes people relate to that terminology more so than the terminology that I use, or the terminology that numerology strictly uses, or the terminology that astrology uses. Like, I've got a close girlfriend of mine who's an astrologist, and she finds it fascinating, the information I can share with her about her, and I find it fascinating the stuff that she can share. And because we both understand it, it's like she can talk to me about astrology and I just get it like that. She doesn't have to explain it twice or go back over it. I'm like fascinated. There's actually quite a correlation with the astrology and numerology, in the sense that, for instance, like with your I don't know, do you know much about your astrology?
I'm a Virgo, so I don't really get into anything in particular, but I sort of on the periphery of all of it.
I would highly recommend that you have a look at it, because with your numbers, you have what I call is, you don't have the numbers through the middle.
Yeah.
And you don't have the numbers through this middle in my, it's kind of like a noughts and crosses board that I fill in. So the numbers start from the bottom. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you think of a cross.
Yeah, right.
So you don't have the numbers here, you don't have the numbers here. So possibly in your astrology, you might find that you don't have the planets in those, or the house in those houses. The houses are not necessarily stable as well. So that was one of the things that we both picked up when I was talking to her about. She goes, oh, well, that's amazing, because in astrology we have this thing, and she said it's actually very similar to how you talk about with it. So
yeah, I do know someone years and years ago did my astrology chart, and she said, oh, look, it's nearly like a Star of David, but it was more skew with, like, it was not. Like, she said it was quite powerful because of the way it looked or something. But it was so long ago. I was in my early 30s.
Well, in your case, you might find that in your case, yours is a bit like the story I was telling before, when someone has something happen to them. It might be your astrology that has held you more instead than your actual numbers, looking at your numbers.
Yeah. And so in saying that, because the number, like, as far as I know, 7 is a spiritual number, but that really related, like, I have had a lot of loss in my life, and what being, I say, is one of my strengths is being able to process that really easily, and not easily, but like, shift through it, knowing that we're here to experience, not holding on to those old patterns or whatever. We're here to experience.
Yeah, well, the 7 traditionally went with the life path number, tend to be born teachers once they've learnt the lessons.
Yeah,
so they're
right.
Very wise. So, and they tend to like to learn things themselves. They don't like to be told.
Yeah, so that's me.
So someone might have pointed something out to you early on, and you'd go, no, I'm going to do it my way. That's generally how they talk. They're very like, well, I know what I'm doing here, even if they don't know what they're doing. They like to just like learn along the way.
So I tend to, like, I know when I went through the whole process of abundance, for example, and I went through and did this experience, and when it worked, like, my whole spiritual journey has been experience at first, see how it sits, and then I articulate it to other people of how it's worked for me. So when it comes to astrology and new numbers and stuff like that, what are your thoughts on destiny and fate, and like, what are your thoughts on us being able to create our own reality Just personally, I'd just be interested.
Yeah, no, look, I believe that regardless of what numbers you've got, like I can look at someone's numbers and go, oh wow, that's looks challenging or whatever. But I believe that you can create anything. You just have to have that perseverance and patience and the willingness to listen to other people and the willingness to actually ask for help, which I'm not very good at. I've only recently in the last, actually it's quite interesting, just before I was explaining to Elizabeth while we were talking, because I've had a bad knock on the head and which has slowed me down quite considerably, and just before that happened I just met some really cool people who have been helping me with my business, which I probably wouldn't have gone and done if they hadn't have come into my life. Like, you know, it's been really good and they've come in. So I just really think that one of the things for me has been to actually ask for help, and I know myself I'm not very good at, because I sort of think, well, I can just, you know, I can do it myself. I've worn many hats over the years. Like, apart from doing what I do now, I still work in marketing and design. So I do graphic design for people. So I have people ringing me saying, oh, can you just do me a quick business card? Can you just, you know, I also play the singing bowls. That's a new learning thing that I've been doing the last, you know, probably 2.5 months, which I've taken on quite naturally. So that's the thing, when you find when you're in this path where you think you can do everything, you actually can, but then I've sort of got to the point now where it's like, well, you know, I can't be everything. You know, I love playing the bowls. Yeah. And at this point, if I had to choose between my numbers and the bowls, I would choose my numbers. But then the bowls are great because each bowl represents a chakra and each chakra represents a number. So I work through the numbers with that as well, which I've like, it's just been really natural for me to talk about it. Even when I'm playing them, I can see the power of the root chakra bowl and the sound of it, even though I'm not musical. So
yeah. And do you feel like I personally have the same belief that you know, we've got the ability and the opportunity to become and create whoever we choose to be, and through that experience there's an influence, an underlying influence of who we are through the gateway we came through, you know, being a Virgo, or the number, you know, the
oh yeah, totally,
you know, like there's this influence that sort of you know, is our stable ground, you know, like that we then can maneuver from and decide, you know, and work through, because sometimes it's, as you say, you know, like work through the loss, work through the, you know, the challenge that we've been decided we need to experience for this life or whatever it might be, you know. So so how do you work with your clients? Tell me a little bit more about, because obviously you're intuitive as well as using the numbers. So, you know, where are you located, by the way, Janice?
I'm on the Gold Coast, just right in the heart of the Gold Coast. Like literally, you couldn't get any closer to the Gold Coast. Yeah, it's called Chevron Island, which I kind of like. I feel like I live in my own little island, but it's right. I'm 900 meters from Surfers Paradise Beach, from the hub. Literally, yeah. You can't escape. I walk outside my front door, and there it is. But I have a cute little place. Everyone that comes here, the minute they sit down, they go, oh, this is so cool. I feel really relaxed here. But I actually don't believe that's the place. I actually believe it's my energy in the place. So I can create this energy wherever I am. But it helps. I've got a really good spot. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so how do you work with clients? Do you work online as well as offline?
I do, which has sort of been a slow process for me, because I actually obviously prefer to have the energy, even though I have done some work. I did the online course with William Whitecloud. Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did that, and I actually found that quite good, but quite draining, because of so many energies and so many faces I was picking up on stuff. And I actually got told that I was in my ego too much. I needed to, relax out of that. But I couldn't help it. It was just like stuff was coming in from all over the place. And I'm actually I can sit through these courses and not say anything. I can just sit there and watch and, try to absorb it. So when someone generally comes, I work with their birth date. I also work with frequency as well. I don't know if I think there's a few people that have got the Healy. Have you seen?
Oh, yeah.
And that's amazing. Because that does auras and all sorts of stuff. So generally, I use, if the person's that way inclined. If they're not that way inclined, I don't use this, because it's quite like the numbers itself is a bit like sort of spacey for some people. But I can get information very quickly with the numbers. Whereas with this, I've got to take a photo, I've got to get their birthday, they've got to put it in the machine. And then, so that can take 10 minutes to do that. And then meanwhile, the person's thinking, oh, what's she doing here? Why is she taking my photo?
I just want some information.
If someone's suffering with anxiety and depression, that puts them not at ease. So I tend to start with the numbers first, and then just see if they're open. Then I can see, and the numbers, I might see that, the father's missing, or something comes up there that I can see. And I ask a question, and then that sort of opens up a can of worms. And then I say, well, are you open for me to do an aura scan, which is going to give me some really powerful words that I can address with you. I can do it without it, but everyone that I've done so far where I've used this little contraption, they've had like results, like the next day they've phoned me and gone, I don't know whatever you did, but I feel amazing. Or I didn't sleep last night, but I'm actually feeling really good today. Or,
some sort of result that's come through.
So I've got a really good spiritual friend in Perth, and he says to me, like, oh, how do you know it's not just you? It could be just you. Nothing to do with the machine, nothing to do with the numbers. That's just a way of them. And I said, look, it could very well be.
Yeah, just their tools that you're using as a source as well.
Yeah, because some of without those tools, if I just sit there and talk to them and say this, it's almost like I'm doing a clairvoyanty sort of, and I don't have anything against clairvoyant. I think that's great. It has its place. And I wish in a corporate world they probably looked at it a bit more, but they're not going to at this. But I have recently registered corporate numerology. So that's the people that have been helping me. I am putting together I suppose it's like a 3-hour, it's a 1-hour workshop. Yeah, it's a 1-hour workshop where I go into their office, I explain about the numbers. The people get to do their numbers. They get to work out, if they're a 4 and someone else is a 6, how that energy best works together. And I actually have designed it so that they actually have to be open and authentic, that they get on really well with this person, but this person they've got a bit of a rub with. So then they're gonna have to be like, well, I don't really see either.
Yeah, a bit more diligent in the communication process. Yeah.
And then from that, so I do it for about an hour and 15, and then from that they all go back to the desk, and then I spend sort of like 15-20 minutes with each person, just sharing with them some stuff about themselves, just that might assist them, moving forward, moving for that job promotion or within the office, So that's the first one I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do bigger, more like longer sort of like workshops in the office where I can introduce, like I can bring yoga in, I can bring meditation, I can bring the bowls, but I don't want to start with that because that's just like,
might be too much for the corporate sector.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they are changing. Yoga's already in there, massages in there. Massage.
Yeah.
So, which is all stuff that I do, but I, at this point, I will stick to what I do, which is the numbers, and then I would get other people to come in to support me to do but like the massage and stuff. I mean, I can teach massage.
Yeah.
I believe that we should massage our hands and feet daily.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can do. We don't have to pay someone to do it. So
Yeah.
in a lot of the workshops that I do a lot of self sort of little tips for people to do, even though I'm not a massage therapist. I do massage with my healing, but it's intuitive massage. It's something that I have learnt through having many massages myself with different therapists, and also I use the doTERRA oils, so I've done some massage little courses within there as well.
And so if people wanted to get in contact with you just to have a discussion or, you know, to find out a little bit more, are you able to put some details under the...
Yes, I will do.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So once we finished, if you can just jump in and we'll both have a look and see who's been on here talking to us.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And if anyone, I'm really open to collaborating with people too. So that's one of the things. I'm actually got a wide range of network of people that I work with. And I've also, because I lived in Melbourne, I was born in Melbourne, and then I've moved to Perth for 18 years, and I've been on the Gold Coast for nearly 10. So I've got and I spent a lot of time in Sydney when COVID wasn't sort of here. I'd be sort of up and down to Sydney doing some healing work and stuff as well. So
we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk more about that. Excellent. Okay, Janice, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed that. We'll jump on and have a look at the comments. I'm sure that this is right up everybody's alley on this page. Yeah, so if you want to get in contact with Janice, she's going to put her details in the comments, and we'll add them to the description in the YouTube as well. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much, Janice, for sharing with us.
And just before I go,
yeah,
interesting your numbers when you add up your missing numbers. You're missing the 3, the 6, the 2, 4, and 8. When you add that all up, you get 23, which is 5.
Yeah.
So you have success and opportunity surrounds you all the time, regardless of your numbers.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm always successful at it.
So there you go.
Yeah. So
I always think the secret challenge for me is really quite powerful. So,
yeah. That's awesome to know. I'd be really interested to take you up on an offer. So we'll talk about that when we get off.
Okay. See ya. Thanks so much for having me.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.